My name is Steve Kinch, and I've been with the club just over 10 years. I was the past president. The reason I joined the club way back when is I've always done backpacking. It's just having some people to go out with and everything else like that. But I've always learned something from going out with other members. It seems like every time I go out, I see what they have in their pack and some of the stuff that they come up with, tricks and trends. I might use it every now and then. So, and the same thing, I think we learn from each other. So today it's what I'm gonna talk about real quick is how to pack a backpack. Nancy talked about choosing a backpack. You can probably talk to any of the club members. They've gone through many backpacks. So we're here maybe to stop that trend so you don't have to spend as much money as we did in backpacks and everything else like that. But what I tell people is how you pack your backpack. It's your backpack. You can pack it any way you want. I'm here to give you the general idea how to do it. The reason you want to kind of have stuff in a certain order is you got to think through, okay, I'm going to be at the campsite. How am I going to take stuff out to set up? So you want your tent, everything else like that at the top. You want your heavy stuff at the bottom, so you're not top heavy, but also you don't want it all at the bottom, so you're bottom heavy. You want it basically in the middle of your back. That's where your biggest muscles and everything are. So you can go out on YouTube and talk or see the different videos out there how to pack it. Most of the time it's going to be very standard to what I'm going to talk about today. Nancy talked about using a trash bag to keep your stuff you don't want to get wet, dry. That's always a good idea. She did demonstrate that a lot of packs anymore will come with a pack cover. This is a semi-frameless backpack. What that means, it only weighs about 18 ounces. So the load, how you put it in, you have to be very cognizant of how you put it in there, because anything over 30 pounds with this is just going to be very uncomfortable. You can become a weight weenie, as we call it. If you've ever looked into backpacking, you hear all these people that are going ultralight and everything else like that. They're going to tell you all the good things about the light stuff, but they'll never show you about the bad times they've had. Case in point, I was out in Utah last year. We ran into a rainstorm. The gentleman that led the trip had basically it wasn't a tent. It was basically a tarp, so to speak. So we were out there on sandstone. It's called slick rock. It's basically sandpaper, and it just poured. And the whole night, he didn't have most tents have a bathtub, and it has a floor and everything that's going to protect it. All his stuff was soaked because he was ultralight. So you don't see that video stuff online. They're going to tell you the good stuff, okay? So just be cognizant of trying to get too light out there, because the less it weighs, the more it's going to cost. So be cognizant of what you're buying. But how to pack it, basically what I do is, if I know it's going to be raining, I'll use this for my sleep system and everything else like that. If I don't think it's going to pour down rain, this is pretty much, it's not waterproof, but it's going to be, if it's just misting, it's not going to get wet. Maybe the stuff in the top will, but I'm not really worried about that. So how I pack it, I will take and I'm a quilt sleeper. I don't use a sleeping bag because I'm a side sleeper. Leslie, are you a sleeping bag?
I'm a side sleeper, and I've worked out a sleeping bag that works for me.
Okay. I have to have, and I sleep warm, so I just basically have what's called a quilt. There's really no zipper or anything on it. And this attaches to my sleep pad. But also I carry what's called a silk liner. It'll keep you a little bit warmer, but also keeps your quilt or your sleeping bag clean. Okay. Nancy talked about not having a set of clothes. Most people will take some sleep clothes. but still, if you've been sweating all day and stuff like that, you're still gonna get your bag dirty. So I don't put this in anything. Yes?
Can you explain more what a quilt is? I've seen it, I've heard it mentioned, but I don't.
Basically, the difference between a sleeping bag and a quilt, a sleeping bag goes all the way around you, so you're sleeping on a lot of the fill, which is extra weight, where this, hence the name of quilt, it's basically laying over me, and I'm sleeping right on my sleeping bag, okay? So this weighs next to, I think this weighs 16 ounces. Yeah, it has a foot box to it, yeah. So there's really no zipper other than the foot box itself. Yeah. This is a 30-degree quilt. I have a 0-degree quilt. It weighs a little bit more. But I find this works for about 35 degrees and above. Okay. My 0 goes down to about 20. I won't go out if it's below 20 degrees. Okay. So what I do, a lot of people will even have their sleeping bag, they'll have a bag that they put it in. I just stuff it down in here along with my my silk liner. So that stuff I'm not going to touch all day, okay? I'm not going to touch that until I have my tent up and everything else like that. Also with this frameless pack, it can be quite uncomfortable if you have like bulky stuff here, it'll press against your back. So what I do, this is my sleeping pad. I just put it in a liner like this. Because anybody that's hiked with me knows that I sweat terrible. So I can, if I didn't have this, this would be all wet, okay? So I just put that as backing on the back part here. And I just shove it down in there. So that kind of gives me some support there. The next thing I'll probably put in is a sleep pillow. Now you can find it smaller than this, but again, I'm a side sleeper and I like my comfort anymore. So this weighs, I don't know, 5-6 ounces, okay? So I just stuff that in there. I'm gonna probably put my cook kit in there. I'm not gonna need it throughout the day, hopefully. So I'll stuff that down in here. My fire starter kit, I'm not going to need that, so I'll stuff that down in there. This is basically what my wife calls a walk of shame bag. This is my trowel and my poop bag. She says, well, she doesn't go camping, but I told her about this, and she goes, well, you know what people are doing when they get their bag and they're walking off into the woods? I said, well, everybody poops. So she calls it the walk of shame. So I call it my walk of shame bag. Call it what you want. This is my filter bag. This is how I have my filter in here. Typically what I'll do is put that right on top because I'm going to use that probably throughout the day. My medical kit, I want to have that at the top to a certain extent that I can get to it in case I, get a blister or I cut my finger, get stung or whatever. I want that kind of on the top. What I do is I will carry a sleeve shirt, and if it's warm out, I'll just have a pair of shorts that I change into when I go to sleep at night. So I'll stuff that back down in here. The only thing that I haven't put in here is food. But I packed this last night and I weighed it with water and everything. It was just under 17 pounds. But this is my food bag. I typically will take this. A lot of times what I'll do, if it's going to be a multiple day trip, I will take, it seems like a waste, but I reuse them. I will get 2-gallon freezer bags, or what do they call it, glad bags. And I will put a whole day's worth of food in that bag. So then I'll label it, I'll put, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. And then I'll take, if it's a Monday, I'll put Monday's food on top. That way I can get to my lunch and everything else like that. I don't typically put it in this black bag. I will just stuff it throughout the pack itself. Because again, you want to make sure that load is kind of nice and even, so to speak. The last couple things that I put in are my tent. Because that's the first thing you're going to get out when you get to camp. And if it's raining, yeah, you don't want to be digging down the bottom of your pack for your tent. So that's the first thing that I pack on top is the tent, my water filtration, my medical bag, and then my lunch, whatever I'm going to be eating or need to access throughout the day while on the trail. Okay. Some other things that I will take, not all the time, but this is what's called a out sack. This is what I'll store my food in at night. If you hang it on the tree or whatever, but it's mesh. So other than a bear or something like that, you know, the critters aren't going to get through this. Okay, and it weighs next to nothing on that. A sit pad. The older I get, the more I use this. Quite a bit. So that weighs next to nothing. You can attest to all this, right? Yes. I have a nocturnal bottle for those times that I don't want to get up and go out and go potty. Another thing I like to take, if it's going to be maybe a weekend trip, this is a chair, camp chair, weighs right at a pound. So I'll stuff that down in here in the front pocket. Because if we have an extended lunch or whatever, I might even get that out. Just hook my stem. But the big thing is making sure that your pack fits well, it's comfortable, you're not going to be top heavy or anything else like that. Another thing that I would probably suggest that you buy is some type of bag to weigh your bag. This is great for even if you're going on a trip to weigh your suitcases and stuff like that. These are they're next to nothing. So, like I said, I packed this last night. It weighs just under 17 pounds. With food, you know, I'm talking maybe over a weekend trip, it's going to be 20, 21 pounds. And to me, that's taken the necessities that I need, but also takes the comfort stuff. The older I get, it seems like the more comfort stuff I want to take, so to speak. But how you pack your bag is your own personal way. You'll see a lot of people out on the trail that will be dangling all kinds of stuff off the back. I just want to go up and grab it because it just drives me nuts to have anything on the outside. But if that's what you want, that's fine.
It also it makes you more tired.
Yeah, it does, because I followed my brother up from the Grand Canyon halfway up, and he had his Crocs, they called Crocs, and they were right here. They were hitting him in his butt every time. I just wanted to go up there and hold him all the way up. So after the first half, I said, Brian, I'm going ahead of you. I can't stand to watch you. Plus, it's another way, if that comes loose, you might lose something, you know, so to speak. But yeah, you're right. It does counterbalance you sometimes. Yeah. Yes?
Do you ever bring, like, things to cook with?
Yeah, my stove has everything that I need. Somewhere in here. Yeah, this right here is my stove. I use this pot to cook with, and it stores my fuel. These little canisters, so it's all compacted in here. Lighter. Make sure you have several lighters because one may not work on that. Dehydrated food. Leslie, very good at dehydrating food. I buy whatever's out there. Mountain House. If you go online, there's some boutique companies that really have raised the bar on dehydrating food. So she's a pro at it.
You talk about spam.
Oh yeah, my biggest thing in the morning is, especially if it's going to be on the weekends, is spam. I have a little bit, very small frying pan, and now you can get spam in singles. Game changer. Spam and bagels. Oh my gosh. Several things. that you want to look out for. Again, I'm not saying you can be very ultra light, but you also have to look at the stuff compared to where you're at too. So in Indiana, if you're in the middle of the woods in the summer and you're using a tarp, guess what? You're going to be overrun by bugs and ticks and stuff like that. So you can get an expensive single wall tent. This thing weighs right at 22 ounces, but it protects me from the bugs and everything else like that. Like I said, we're here to try to save you an extra purchase. We've all made the extra purchases. I have not purchased anything in several years because I figure if I'm going to purchase something, I have to take something away, and that's the hard thing is grams turn into ounces, ounces turn into pounds, and it's very true, very, very true. Yeah. Other questions?
You don't talk a lot about clothing itself, but you pack much clothing at all.
Now, what I carry in the winter versus summer are completely different. This green bag that I have clothes in the winter, it depends. I'll take a puffy jacket. I might take tights, wool tights. So this bag will be about halfway full then. Typically, like I said, I sweat something terrible, so I do change into sleep clothes. It's typically a long sleeve shirt and just gym shorts.
Rain gear?
I'm sorry?
Rain gear?
Oh yeah, thank you. I do carry my rain gear in here. This is a outdoor research jacket, and then I don't like to wear pants, so this is basically a skirt, rain skirt. We used it on Timberline quite a bit. It worked out quite good. We had several days of rain on that.
What do you use for your fire kit?
My fire kit, good question. What I have used, you can find all kinds of stuff on YouTube, using dryer lint, what are cotton balls, Cheetos. They taste good and they burn good. Basically, my fire kit, what I have is, ladies, what I took, and it's always worked out good for me. These are what you call they take off your makeup. Yeah, they're cotton inside. So what I did is, or what I do is, I will take those and crust them in just cheap candle wax. And then when I get to camp, I'm going to build a fire. I basically break it into fours and start it, and it'll burn for 5 minutes. So even if you want, if you have wet wood or something, it will definitely continue to burn to get that stuff going on that. So I basically break it, tear it, and as you can see, there's all the cotton stuff in there. You will pass it around on that. And then what I did learn, Rich. I did learn this from Rich.
Really?
You're thinking, like, really?
My backpack is 35 pounds.
I'm giving you credit where credit's due. We went on a trip many years ago. I think it was Michigan, wasn't it? I don't remember. We were trying to get a fire started, and he pulled out this cheap little piece that he bought. I think you got it at Lowe's, you told me. That's where I got mine. So when you're building a fire, instead of getting down on your hands and knees and trying to blow the fire, oh man, it's like a furnace. Like I said, I learned that from one of our members. Yeah. It's like a blowtorch. It is. It gets the fire going really well. And again, another fire starter. Yeah. I like these longer ones because then you don't have to burn your fingers every time. Okay. But that's all I have in my fire kit. Any other questions?
So, like rain gear, like if you happen to be in the terrain or just for your feet, just like super waterproof shoes, like I don't know, extra socks or the
Yeah, you always. Yeah, that's a very good. That's something. I always bring an extra pair of socks.
yeah.
There's very different schools of thought on footwear, whether you want Waterproof boots or shoes versus not having them. I'm in the camp that around here I use waterproof shoes. Any place else I
That's all
don't.
you're at,
I
yeah.
don't, because they don't breathe as well. And if they do get wet, they don't dry out very quick. No. But yeah, definitely. If you do get your feet wet, it's always good. If you don't think you're going to be in the water anymore, is to stop and dry your feet off and put that clean pair or dry pair. They may not be clean. And then put the others on your outside of your pack so they can be dry. Yeah. Yeah, good question. Yeah, thank you. Anything else? Any other questions? Yes.
I think I may know the answer to this, but based on your bag that you had, but are you a bear cane or a bear canister?
It depends on where you go. See.
Appalachian Trail.
There are certain places that are required, right, Leslie? It's not a bag anymore. I think even on the Appalachian, it's still a bear canister, correct?
Just one place in Georgia,
Is there? Okay.
and only if you're staying overnight right around Bear Mountain.
Okay.
The rest you don't need one.
Okay. Yeah, it depends on where
If
you're at.
if you're gonna do a bear thing, you have to have a heck of an arm, and I don't. I'm like a weenie.
Yeah, it has to be out quite a ways from the tree and everything else like that. Yeah. But yeah, the bear canister will fit in here. That's about all I can fit in there. So,
Right, yeah.
like Nancy said, you just basically stuff as much as you can, and back to clothes. You're going to smell like everybody else in your group, so it doesn't matter. But you always know the day hikers. They pass you and they, oh, you smell lovely. What would I smell like? I'll never see him again. Who cares? No, I don't take deodorant. The only other, yeah, go ahead.
What about water? Packing water, how much water to bring?
You want to do your homework on where you're going. Around here, I will definitely take 2 liters of water, and then like I said, I have my filter close to me. Depending on where you go, you may want to take 3 or 4 liters. If you're in like an arid area like Arizona, and there's going to be water, hard to find water, you may want to take 6 or 7 liters. But you want to do your homework first. That's the thing that gets most people in trouble, is they don't do their homework on where they're going. It doesn't hurt to call the ranger station at wherever you're going and say, hey, what are the conditions been? They'll say, well, there's fire danger or whatever. But you got to be prepared. The Boy Scouts used to be prepared. So you want to do your homework. If you're going out to Hoosier National Forest over the weekend, I'm not going to make any phone calls. I'm just going to, like right now, I can find water just about at any stream crossing. Earlier this year, it was a little bit different. You're going to be looking at puddles and stuff like that. But with the amount of rain we've had and everything, there's going to be plenty of water. Yeah. Good question. But I typically will start out with 2 liters on that. I like these smart water bottles. One, they're very easy to see how much water I've drank. Some people prefer the bladders. That's fine. Again, what I said is your pack. But I don't like the bladders because, one, I can't see how much I've drank, and also they're susceptible to leaking. And the worst thing you want to do is come to camp and have your sleeping bag water wall. And I've seen it. I'm sure everybody else has seen it. But this is the only way I can know how much water I've been taking in. And as I said, I'm a sweater, so I have to take a lot of this. Another thing I'll typically take, depending on where we're going and the temperature, is I will take an electrolyte powder, something of that nature, to get those electrolytes back into me. Because anybody that's backpack with me knows I'm drenched by the end of the day if it's warm. Yeah, very much so.
Are they usually upwind from you, or?
I don't care. No, they smell as bad as I do. But typically, I can stand my shirt up in the middle of the woods and it will fall down. Yes.
Yeah, I'm interested in hiking poles.
Trekking poles? Yeah.
Yeah, so the philosophy behind them, when I would need them, if I would ever need to pack them, versus using them on the trail.
I'm a big believer of them. You can look online, they say between 18 and 25% of the energy and everything else like that. I use them more for stability, being stable. Also, if I have my hands down, like if I'm doing a walk around the neighborhood or something, typically I'll carry a 25-pound pack with me and my fingers swell. But if I have trekking poles in my hands, they don't swell because they're up some. With my tent, where's my tent? I lost my tent. Oh, here it is. This, I have to put up with my trekking poles. So my trekking poles go with me everywhere. Okay. I mean, I can use sticks and stuff like that, but it's designed to use your trekking poles. Okay.
Oh, the trekking poles are your tent poles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it's lightweight.
So then you have two at once.
Yeah, lightweight, yeah. But yeah, I'm a big believer of trekking poles. At least one, if not two.
Is that a feature of the tent that they'll tell you that the poles also double as trekking poles?
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. And this is a single wall tent. Unlike these out here, they have a tent fly. Mine doesn't have a fly. It's all waterproof. The problem with that is it's condensation of being humid out or me breathing. And this has only happened once since I've had it, is where I have to have a rag to wipe down the condensation during the night and in the morning because it'll condensate. It doesn't have a red fly. That just saves weight. Yes.
My tent's got a fly, and I still have lots of condensation.
Yeah,
so-
yeah. If you're, again, where you set up camp is another thing. I don't know who's doing the safety stuff, but if you're camping down by a stream, you're going to have a lot more humidity. That's where the humidity settles every day, especially in the summer. So if you can camp up on a ridge or something like that, but be enough close enough to water. Because if you're down in the lowlands, that's where fall forms first, so to speak. So, and plus you get some airflow up on the ridge sometimes. But sometimes it's not possible. Yeah, you just have to camp where you can. Yeah, good question. Yes. Yes.
To that point, do you recommend carrying a tarp to putting over the tent or something?
That's up to you. Like I said, this is your pack. What you weigh is what you want to weigh with. Yeah. It's simple as just wiping it down. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah. Yeah. Good question. Somebody else? Yeah.
What kind of water filters would you recommend?
There's several out there. The go-to basically is Sawyer. You can get those at REI and yeah, the other places. But I recently have gone to a new one. It's called Be Free. I'm not sure I'm going to continue using this long term. Okay. I've read some bad things on it. Somebody in the club told me that they.
Mine went kaput.
Hers went
It never
bad.
got cold.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Basically, what this is this is the filter. So you want to keep that clean. There's several theories on taking these into silt-infested places like Utah and Arizona. The silt is so bad that they clog almost instantaneously. The only other thing you can take are what's called Aquamira drops. It's a two-part thing. This is basically what your municipal water is treated with, okay? But this takes some pre-planning and planning on the trail. You have to mix this. It has to, I think it's 5 to 10 minutes. It has to mix. And then when you pour it into the bottles, it has to be in the bottles for such and such a time. The problem is you're going to be drinking, which is no big deal to me. You'll be drinking water that has a lot of nasty stuff in it. Okay. One way to get around that is take a bandana and before you drink it, put it over the mouth of the bottle. here, they'll take out some of it, but when you're thirsty, that extra sand's not gonna weigh you down much. But it tastes like perfectly good water. It's just got all the, the brown stuff in it. So it depends on what you want to do. So for me personally, I probably will go back to a Sawyer, maybe after I try this out a few more times, because I know that's true.
Life Roll makes one just like that, and I've used mine several times, never had issues with it. But I think one of the problems with things like this is sometimes when they sit for a long period of time, say if it's 6 months before you use it again, and you don't let that filter dry out, it will build up mold inside of them.
Yeah.
I do think they make filter replacements. I'm not sure. I've never changed mine, but
The Sawyer, you can get them at Walmart for like $30. So to me, I would rather replace it every now and then. They say they're good for 100,000 gallons. I'm not keeping track. So I'd rather just pay $30 and know that I'm going to spend. So again, I know I'm running over a little bit, but I like to have two forms of water filtration. Okay? One is this, or the Sawyer. Two is the Aquaman. Okay?
if it gets hard, you can boil it.
Yeah, you can boil it too and everything else like that. But I also carry a scoop because a lot of places, you just can't take this bag and dip it in. I'd rather dip it in and put it in the bag here on that. What you want to try to do to save weight is find things that you can use it for multiple purposes. Okay? I don't carry a big knife. I carry a really small knife. Medical-wise, I carry Band-Aids. Recently, I cut my finger really bad out. Actually, my saw broke while I was sawing, and it went into my finger. Never used it before, but I will from now on. It's called medical grade super glue. And you can get them at CVS. Wonderful. It was wonderful stuff. I mean, I was, not to be graphic, but there was a lot of blood coming out, and it instantaneously took it away pretty much. So, again, what you take in your backpack is what you feel comfortable with taking. There are basics. There are some things that I'll take that, anybody in this room that does it may not take. And there's certain things that they may take that I just don't feel comfortable taking. But also, I'll do an assessment after every backpacking trip. When I'm putting stuff away, again, that's another thing. Have a whole room ready for that gear, if you will have gear. I will go through and say, well, I didn't use that. I didn't use that. I've never used it in the last 3 trips. Well, it's probably going to go out in the pack. Okay? Any other questions? Yes?
I'll ask you there, what goes into your bag of shame?
My bag of shame, a trowel, toilet paper, wet wipes, and hand sanitizer.
Is there a special brand of toilet paper that you would recommend?
I just take it right off the roll. Good question. And Dave Hotmar's going to be doing how to poop in the woods, so. Leave no trace and all that stuff, yeah. And please be cognizant of that. If you do get out there, make sure you're leaving no trace. Even if you go to a campsite that's been established and you see stuff out there, if you have room, pick it up, please. Even take a little spare bag and take the trash out with you. Great, thanks guys.